Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
This is where roadtoruta.com. It is Sunday the 5th. We have lots of exciting things next week for our favorite investment, silver. They attempted a push down that we saw on Friday. Look at all these red big lines here are huge fake contracts. These are COMEX contracts, mind you, designed to control the price of silver. And it used to work, and now it doesn't work. That's why you have all these red lines and then just green grass. And then we're going to hit blue sky after 50. So everybody and their mother is trying to figure out, number one, can they crush us again? So I've been looking at the commitment of traders report, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is last week's commitment of traders report that was put out on Friday. There was no commitment of traders report put out on Friday. And here's why. CFTC staff issues advisory on certain contract markets. The Commodities Futures Trading Commission staff today issued an advisory to Futures Commission's merchants, introducing brokers, designated contract markets, derivative clearing organizations, and registered futures associations about certain contract markets regarding preparations with respect to potential market disruption during a lapse in government appropriations. So they are not putting out the CFTC's weekly commitment of traders report at the very time it's the most important report you'll ever see. So they decided, no, you can't, we're not going to tell you, we're not going to let you know. And then when it does come back, if it ever comes back, the commitment of traders report, which they didn't like the world seeing what they were doing, the market riggers. But when it does come back, we'll get to see, who was playing with the game. We know who, is trying to get out of their silver short position. It's the handful of banksters criminals. But they have a big problem because there's other, you can link a contract to a delivery on the COMEX or the LBMA. There's another way to do it. And I've been talking about this for quite a while. Jenny brought it up to me back in 2021 or so, that the bankers had a new way to rig silver. And I'm like, oh, what could it be? What could it be? And then we saw the massive growth of the Bank of America short position in silver. It was leased silver from from JP Morgan. And then through, we were like, okay, these were all below under 1 year leases. And it was about 1.2 billion ounces leased, which is crazy. I mean, they busted the Hunt brothers for having 100 million ounces, and now they're not busting JP Morgan for having the 1.2 billion ounces of physical. Well, they kind of busted them, the $920 million settlement. But, I mean, JP Morgan booked $1 billion that same year for profits in that same division. What a racket, right? A cool $80 million for being busted. But that's not all of it. Obviously, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But we do have a very interesting post that came out about 2 weeks ago, and it's talking about a $15 billion silver bond, supposedly attached to about 350 million ounces. Now, that number's off the charts, a hell of a lot of silver, physical. And the way this bond works, I put it into the AI Grok, and it explained it in terms that I was like, holy crap, this is way too much. But supposedly, these bonds have a trigger mechanism. So they were bought at around $26, or they were sold at $26, where you get a return. The people buying these bonds are looking for cheap money type of thing, and they just hedge their position. They'll put on a silver short 1 to 5 years into the future, depending on how long that lasts, and they'll just roll it over each time. But there's a problem in that there's a trigger, and supposedly the trigger was $42 silver. Anything over $42 silver, the person that issued the bond needs to pony up the physical silver. And that's kind of where this is the end game for that massive lease of silver. And it's, who's on the hook? They're saying Chinese banks. I think U.S. banks are on a huge hook. Not Bank of America, I don't think, because they subleased it to like Wells Fargo and to HSBC and all these, probably BlackRock, although we don't get to see much of BlackRock. So I do think this is real. And then Jenny, just the other day, when we talking on our Friday road trip thing, talks about how a settlement was deferred on September 15th, a few weeks back. I'm like, how would she know that? Literally, how does Jenny know any of this shit? I don't know. But she's just, she's a woo-woo girl, and she uses her cards. And the biggest problem with our discussions is that I can't figure it out what she's trying to say and to apply it to the current situation, usually for months after. Then I look back and I said, oh, that's what she meant. But this is pretty quick to find out that this guy's a pretty serious commodity dealer. In Germany, it was dubbed. So, everybody's like, oh, it's not real. It's dubbed. But then they played the German, and German speakers like, yeah, that's the real guy, and he's a big commodity trader, and he's not lying. So will we see? I mean, China's right now on vacation. The Shanghai Exchange they have their vacation year from the 1st to the 8th. So on 8th, which is Wednesday or Thursday, I think they come back to work, and we could see a huge bump in silver because of this mechanism. I think they didn't let them off the hook. Supposedly a massive amount of silver was due on the 15th because it got triggered by these bonds. What Jenny was saying is something happened. There was agreement on the 15th to extend it and give the whoever owed the metal time to deliver the metal. So we could see an even bigger increase in metal delivery over the next, she said anything between the very end of this next move is next year on September 15th. That's what the extension was given. Basically, they said, okay, we'll give you a year to deliver. So they're going to have to come up with those ounces somehow. So we'll see. I continue to be, shock and awe over what Jenny comes up with. And if you're a THETA lover, I just posted another thing on the private road about THETA that it will just shock you in a good way. I think it'll shock your traditional crypto investors, probably not in that good a way, but definitely THETA is completely different than all the other cryptos. So go check that out. And this is, I posted this before I even knew about this, the potential for a massive $15 billion silver bond issue. Interesting. And oh, by the way, here's another woo-woo. You gotta love the woo-woo. So, how can I explain this? Jenny and I did this discussion. Our regular Friday post goes up, but after we were done with the discussion, we got into this THETA thing. Just, we're talking right before we hung up. She goes, she felt, the need to draw some cards. And then Hitomi became part of the conversation, which is the remote viewer who died, who was murdered, actually. But it was the best remote viewing I'd ever seen of anyone, all the remote viewers. And this is woo-woo, so, take this with a grain of salt. But this woo-woo is, if you discount the woo-woo, you're discounting a huge part of your existence. That's my take. Cliff High is all over this lately, and yes, we are. Is it a simulation we're in? Yeah, sure. Our consciousness is riding this game also, and we're kind of in the background going, okay, here's all these obstacles and exciting things that we can see into and create through our shared experience. That's more on the spiritual side, but that's where it came from. And then, with the Hitomi stuff, all of a sudden I hear that Dick Allgire, somebody tells me, well, Dick Allgire also said that this month, October of 2025, Hitomi's going to come back into the spotlight, which means THETA's going to come back into the spotlight in my world. And is it that I posted this, that it's coming in the spot. I don't know. This is on the private road, the behind the scenes type of thing with Hitomi. But I'm going to put it out next week sometime on YouTube. So this will get around. And yes, it does mean buy as much, especially T fuel, but THETA as well. THETA and T fuel. Especially if you have cryptos, or you have anything, the whole world's going to be begging for to use the system, the edge node system. And then we will have the whole manufacturing world, Samsung, Sony, probably Apple, all these entities upgrading all their software and including edge nodes into that integration. And you'll be earning T fuel. It'll kind of be like a UBI, universal basic income, that I know a lot of the free market guys say, we can't do that. It's a giveaway. No, it's not really a giveaway. They're working for that money. Their cell phone is assisting in sharing the broadband and the storage capacity, excess capacity, especially if Taiwan comes into play. It's just so much going on. It's hard to keep up with. And on silver, there's another problem. There's a 58 million short interest in SLV, meaning they're going to have to put in a massive amount of silver at some point. Now, I don't know what, these are criminals dealing in a criminal system. And with the CFTC gone from, overseeing anybody, basically, they were kind of gone anyway because there's only one person left on the commission, Caroline Pham from Citibank, who has also the naked short on SLV. So the entire portfolio of SLV, by the way, which is crazy to think about. Anyway, so all that's going on. Yes, silver will continue to run. There's nothing stopping silver anymore. I think the cat is out of the bag. Solar is going through the roof this quarter, I hear, again, also, which will mean probably 800 to 900 gigawatts, doubling what was already doubled, type of thing. The Silver Institute will try to lie about it. You can't stop the lies now. And they are increasing capacity, believe it or not. So there's excess capacity, and they're making solar panels. Even though they don't need them, they're still making them. So the numbers that the Silver Institute came up with in the Silver Survey are so beyond lies. I would not be surprised if the intensity kicks up to see over a terawatt be made in solar panels, which would be about 700 million ounces. Who knows these days? Nobody really knows. Everybody lies in all these industries, too, about how much silver they use. But it's a hell of a lot. So everybody's lying. Everybody's in on the con. But at the end of the day, you got to have that physical silver. And it sounds like, especially in China, some of these banks are on the hook for a lot of physical silver. Interesting article here. All currencies will be stable coins by 2030. The Tether co-founder. Tether is the deep state, pedo deep state. I mean, I hate to tell you, crypto people are all excited about, integrating the cryptos into the old financial system. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever, Bix. You just don't understand. The old financial system is not long for this world. They have a $3 quadrillion derivative problem that is imploding right now. So, many of the cryptos will not fare well as the system breaks down, especially the ones that are in the old system now. Things like XRP and even Bitcoin. Who knows if Bitcoin will survive? You got all these huge mega corporations setting up Bitcoin ETFs. They are required by law to sell liquid assets as the bank fails, as the institution fails. They are required by law. So everybody and their mother is going to be selling Bitcoin because it's integrated into the old system. What will that do to THETA? I don't know. And I don't care. I don't look at price with THETA, just like I don't look at price with silver. It's not about price. It's about the gold-silver ratio. And THETA, it's not about price. It's about the implementation of their edge node software on every device on the planet, which is a pretty big deal. And that's why they're just massive potential. Anyway, yeah, look into this article. It's on Zero Hedge. When you go down the path of who is Tether, who started Tether, what entity are they associated with? I call it the crypto pedo cabal. Go do your research, because these are not the people we want running our lives. So yeah, no, I don't think all currencies will be stablecoins. I think the old financial system will take down the new crypto system, and then we'll have to have another way to go forward. I think Theta is part of that, a big part of that other way to go forward. So yes, you should have as much T-Fuel. And I think the T-Fuel Theta ratio is way off. Yes, Theta went from 4 cents to $20 back in 2021, but even the concept of AI, Theta being thrown into AI, wasn't even talked about or thought about back then in 2021. Now it's obvious, and now they're getting partnerships, and the fact that they're linking up with the phone companies now, it just seems so obvious. But most of the crypto people don't dive that deep. So that's another reason why I think Theta Fuel, which is the operational token, it's not Theta is the governance token. Theta Fuel is the operational token of the Theta ecosystem, especially the edge node system, which is the AI part. And then you top all that stuff with this. Russia is helping China to prepare for a potential invasion of Taiwan. Defense Institute says. Who could have predicted that? I did. At the exact time that the whole system falls apart, you got China going in to take over Taiwan, and the ability to provide the high-end chips to the world will cease overnight. So you have to look for other ways to expand, and the obvious choice is the download of the Theta Edge Node software on every device. This is bigger. It's a bigger comprehension of kind of getting to what Michelle White-Dove, the world's best psychic, said in early days. She didn't even know anything about cryptos or anything. She said Theta right after that. Theta is going to be a big one, and it will be. It will be massive, but we didn't know back then. We just all into cryptos. Yeah, Theta's going to be good in 2021. Yeah, look at it, it's going crazy. We didn't know why it would be so big. But go check it out at roadtoruder.com, the private road, the Jenny. So this discussion I had with Jenny, right, where'd it go? Right here. The first one, these are the two that we did on Thursday to post Friday. This one was done after we hung up the phone. We're just saying, all right, let's see, next week, let's do this. So I just posted what we talked about, because she was like, really, hey, we need to talk about and do another poll on Theta. And shocking what came up. Shocking. Go check it out at roadtoruder.com. To join the private road, we're giving away one Veritasium token. There's another big understanding that I'm like, oh, that fits right in with the Road to Ruder theory, and the crushing of most of the other cryptos, because Reggie has the patent for peer-to-peer cryptographic exchanges, like exchange of value. But all that, that's the future. The future's crazy. The future will look nothing like, the crypto people are thinking right now. The future's going to be different. And can you hold on? Can you survive it or thrive? I think if you have silver, number one, in your own possession, you will thrive. There's nothing that can stop it. Now, especially, adding in this massive concept that this is a derivative upon a derivative, because whatever bank issues these $15 billion silverback bonds, and I know Bank of America was involved in that, and they really wanted, the B of A really wanted the price of silver to go higher, so they were probably at the end that gets to, gets the real physical, because they did, for every derivative, there's another side of that derivative. And then that gets sold, and that gets sold. And it's just insane. That's why we have 3 quadrillion in derivatives, because everybody wants to hedge their exposure. But when you throw a monkey wrench in the thing, like a Taiwan invasion, all bets are off. I could see silver going from $51 to unobtainium at any price. So anyway, place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Go to roadtoruder.com and join today. I'll talk to you guys later.